Good evening, people. Happy Saturday night. Going, sorry, it's a little grainy there. Give me just a second, and I'm going to hit up a little backlight. Backlighting. Forelighting, rather. Clear the space a little bit, you know, some chill sounds. Thank you very much. David Smith. And another thing, With Dave is the YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in or chiming in. Not sure if anybody has yet. I'm going to grab my glasses. All right. So now I can see. Let's see here. Do we have anybody chiming in? Anybody here yet? Happy to take questions. So I guess I'd just like to start off with a little bit about the missing trillions from the Pentagon. So this is pretty crazy. I mean, absolutely out of control, over the top, George Orwell. Exactly what we were warned about, the growth of military-industrial complex. It's all that to a point that's just mind-blowing. So the latest number that I've heard, thanks to Lee Camp on Redacted Tonight, is $21 trillion unaccounted for. So I mean, this is hilarious, right? Because on one hand, you know, you got hardcore libertarians saying, well, the government can't run anything. But at the same time, the government runs SEAL Team 6, right? The government runs the most tightly run machines that there are, you know? SEAL Team 6, the Army, Range, I mean, on and on and on and on and on. These are incredibly, or have been, they have the potential to run like that. And we've seen them run like that under the right management and supervision. We've also seen it all go to hell and, under the wrong supervision and under the claim that, there's too much bureaucracy, yada, yada, yada. Bullshit. It was to accomplish an agenda. So that's what I wanted to talk about is these trillions aren't missing, right? They just can't tell us what they're doing with them. Because I don't think the American people would be into spending billions and billions and billions of dollars for our military to be guarding opium fields in Afghanistan ever since 2001, especially when the United States is going through the worst opioid epidemic in the United States right now since the 1970s. And funny parallel, 1970s, we were in war at Vietnam, right next to an opium-producing area, Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand, called the Emerald Triangle. Strangest thing. So the Emerald Triangle used to be the world's biggest production area for heroin. right? It all came from there. You know, came from wherever, but 90% or more of the world's heroin came from the Golden Triangle: Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand. That little area. Oddly enough, the CIA was busted doing moves in, Laos and Cambodia. And, we're pretty much busted smuggling heroin back from Vietnam, which they probably then sold and used to fund their black market operations, things that Congress wouldn't give them money for, like, overthrowing governments and things of that nature. And the precedent is set, the Iran-Contra scandal in the 80s. George Bush Sr. and Ollie North, and actually Bill Clinton was involved as well. So Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas, and George Bush was smuggling plane loads of cocaine into Mena, Arkansas. They were then selling that cocaine at pennies on the dollar, which created a huge coke epidemic. And that is what led to the creation of crack cocaine and the crack epidemic that followed. So imagine how society paid for these people to accomplish their wicked goal, right? Give a shit about human life. It's about money. It's about money and power. And power to make more money. So to support the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, we were flying them plane loads of weapons, but Congress wouldn't pay for the weapons. So how did the CIA pay for it? Well, by smuggling plane loads upon plane loads of cocaine. And they didn't sell the cocaine abroad. No, they smuggled it into the US and sold it to us. Taking down society at the same time. Like, wow. So these are the people that are missing the trillions, right? But you wouldn't think they'd need to be stealing these trillions from us, because they're, now, since we've been in Afghanistan, since 2001, now Afghanistan has taken over as the leading producer of heroin in the world. Isn't that odd? It's the leading producer of heroin in the world. The US military has been there for 17 effing years. Just say no, folks. Yeah. You can go on YouTube, type in US troops guarding opium poppies, and you can see US troops guarding massive fields of opium poppies in Afghanistan. It's disgusting. So that's your tax dollars at work, making somebody rich, and then the CIA can use that money in their black budget. Tony Schultz, live on YouTube right now. Live on YouTube. What do you got?
I'm tired.
Talking about the Pentagon missing trillions of dollars.
Oh, that's nice.
It's up to 21 trillion now. And so my last comment was that
21 trillion. How do you lose that much money?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I was just talking about, is they didn't lose it. They just can't tell us what they're spending it on, which is like guarding opium fields in Afghanistan. Oh, and the shit I didn't start mentioning yet, which has now been proven, is we're also supporting monetarily and with weapons Al-Qaeda and ISIS in Syria to fight against Assad. So the quote-unquote rebels, the moderate rebels, are the extremists that we were just like fear-mongering about. Now they're just kind of moderate, and we're giving them weapons because we want them to take somebody out for us. Then we can turn around and fight them again. Like, holy are you kidding me?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times have we seen this blow up only in our lifetimes, right? Yeah, boy. Yep. Yeah. So there we are. So there's nothing missing. It's a big fu. Like, oh no, we can't tell you where we spent that money, but we do need to increase our budget, right?
Beware of the Mexicans. That's the problem.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't it always the new person? The new person. Who's it? Well, who's it going to be now? Are we supposed to be afraid of Muslims, or are we supposed to be afraid of people coming from Mexico or Honduras, right?
Make it all the above. Make it simple.
But let's not talk about how we just helped a coup in Honduras that totally fucked Honduras and threw them into what? That's why everybody's leaving Honduras. There was just a military coup there, and we supported it. But let's not talk about that, or the fact that we did the same thing in Guatemala, Chile, Argentina, Nicaragua, El Salvador. Like, remember when so Tony and I worked in hotels in the 80s, and one of the guys that I worked with, mid-20s, I'm like 17, 18, 19, maybe, whatever, making like good money just as a luggage monkey, carrying people's suitcases. I start talking with this guy who's cleaning ashtrays one day. And he's like, yeah, I'm a doctor back in my country in El Salvador, but I had to flee because of the war. And we were funding that war. It was like, oh man, I didn't realize that we were funding that war or anything like that. But that later, 15 years later, when I understood, that conversation came back to me. I was like, oh my God. That guy was a doctor, and the only reason he was cleaning ashtrays is because we fucked his whole country. And he had no choice. Now we don't want to let those people come here and clean ashtrays. We're like, fuck you. Let's put up some razor wire. Shoot them. We're going to shoot them now, right? Isn't that the latest thing, Tony?
I think he backed off of that. They throw rocks, treat it like bullets.
Oh, so we're not shooting them now?
Won't be, but... well, they're just trying to convince, Trump supporters that it wasn't a stunt for the election.
Tony,
clearly was a stunt for the election, and, be afraid of all these people. They're coming to get us. They're coming to take our jobs. There are ISIS fighters in the middle of this, and, if they get here, all hell's going to break loose, and no, it turned out it really wasn't, it was just more fear-mongering from the Trump campaign.
Yeah, well, and that was the funny thing about Acosta, right? And I don't even know what to think about Acosta. Like, he might just be grandstanding to make his career right now, but who knows? But what was bogus about the whole Acosta thing is that his question was never answered, and the reason it was never answered is because his question was, President Trump, you were so fired up about the whole immigration train on the way here, even though they were hundreds of miles away and they were going to a legal port of entry. How come you haven't mentioned it since the primaries? And that's when he lost it. Because he got backed into a corner. Like, why? I was fear-mongering against a minority group who are refugees from a situation that we created, but it's really not even a situation, and I totally kind of lied about the whole thing because they are going to a legal port to come in through the legal channels. So, yeah, I just want you to elect my people. Make me fucking rich again.
Well, I don't know what to say, Dave, because for the folks out there, Dave and I have talked about this stuff, a lot over the years, and you got to convince this segment of society. If you look at the numbers for Trump right now, Dave, his Republican base is still overwhelmingly in support of him. I think most people that are smart enough, Dave, probably see through a lot of this stuff, but he gave them of the president not being subject to any kind of criminal investigation while he's a sitting president, which is what he wants. Here comes Marlene. Come on up. We're on YouTube.
Hi, who is?
Dave. I'm on phone. We're on YouTube right now.
You are on YouTube?
Yeah. Because he's doing like a podcast.
Because the world's going to hell, Marlene.
Oh, no.
Talking politics again, but in any event, I mean, they don't care how much he's lied about stuff. They don't care about, you know, all the dumb things he tweets and says, and they just don't care because there are certain things that he's doing that they absolutely love, and for so many of them, Dave, they just idolize this guy. And for the life of me, I can't figure it out other than he tells them that, you know, Mexicans are out to get you, and he's going to keep them from coming in the country. A lot of them love that. And what else do they love, Dave? The populist rhetoric that he spews out there, even though, for a lot of them, what's actually better? You and I talked about it before where, you know, okay, the numbers for employment and everything are good, but who's actually really benefiting? Are real wages really going up?
Well, Tony, and tell me how the president affects jobs in Sonoma County.
Well, I mean, certain policies will and can affect things, Dave, but he gave all the money away to corporations in the tax cut. And one thing good about that, David, is a lot of people are really seeing this whole, hey, wait a minute, 80-something% of tax benefits went to the richest 1%. So people really are seeing this. They're starting to catch on to that.
Well,
and hopefully for the next election that will actually matter. We'll see.
Right, but the damage is already done, Tony. Now it's our grandkids that have paid $3,000 each into these programs that have already been given out as far as our debt goes. And that's not even including these missing trillions that we're just told about. Trillions, dude. That's generational debt that was just thrown on us overnight against our will. Like, that's worse than taxation, dude. That's like...
Dave, this is where elections and policy has consequences, because Trump in the very first debate told the truth about one thing.
It doesn't, though, Tony.
I'm going to give you trickle-down economics, and I'm going to cut regulations, and I'm going to cut taxes. He told us right there, and
but the
why
Democrat,
did I believe him on that and not on other things?
The Democrats,
because he's a rich guy who's going to make himself a lot more money.
The Democrats have never tried to shut down the military-industrial complex, and I don't know that any one president can, or that any group could stay in power if they don't bow to them.
That's a good point. They're exceedingly powerful. For those of you out there who haven't seen it, the Cross of Iron speech with Eisenhower and his farewell address, which JFK movie fans are familiar with.
It's also the...
Go online and check those out, and it's incredibly appropriate. It completely applies to what's going on right now.
It's also the opening speech in an amazing documentary called Why We Fight, which is one of my top 10 must-see documentaries of all time. Why We Fight. Breaks it all down, and it leads with that speech, warning us about the situation that we're now in. And I wonder, Tony, if now it's just too little too late, anybody that goes against it will just be taken out, because it is such a big machine. And the machine that you're going against is generals and soldiers with guns whose career and money making depends on it to keep going.
Yeah. It's
Hardened
apparatus that we can't seem to, this huge Goliath that nobody can seem to take down, but you know, when I
but it's
watch
not,
some of these candidates for the Democratic Party and the progressive wing, specifically of the Democratic Party, well, big money in politics are trying to get rid of it. And when you start talking like that, those are the kind of policies I want to see America go with.
Right, but it's not like we're trying to break up a company, a Goliath company that should be broken up, like say Viacom or whatever it is now, Verizon, Warner Brothers, AT&T. You know, we're allowing these huge conglomerate mergers to happen, creating these huge monopolies. That's one thing, and I agree with you there. But when it comes to the military-industrial complex, not only is it that, but the CEOs are like the most hardened of trained killers. Right? Like,
I guess. I don't know how
do you don't get to be a 4-star general without like having been through some shit. Right?
I get it. I don't know who to point at. I mean, it's this, who is exactly there?
Well, Tony, why do we? Do you know?
I don't know those kind of ins and outs.
Tony, did you know there are 17 intelligence branches?
I'm sorry, David, you're breaking up.
There are 17 intelligence branches alone. Right? So we know of like the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, the Secret Service, Homeland Security, but there's 17 of them. So we don't need 17 of them, obviously, right?
Seems like it's a bit much, but I don't know each of their individual responsibilities and how they all fit together.
Well, the only reason you have 17 of them is so that they all don't know what each one is doing, right? I mean, like what happened to like the CIA is international and the FBI is national.
Right. One's foreign, one's domestic, basically.
Right. And they all operate under the NSA. But now we got 17, not 3.
I would like to know where that $21 trillion is.
I could tell you what.
That's like more than that's almost the national debt right there.
It's more.
Oh, I thought we were up to like 23 now. But who's counting?
Well, it's freaking close to the entire debt, if not more than, yeah. But anyway, Tony, a little bit of wind noise coming through on your end there, buddy, but good rapping with you, and hit me up when you get home.
Thanks, man.
Good night, Dave.
Good night. So anyway, pretty crazy. Missing money. Yeah, money doesn't go missing. And especially, I mean, we're not talking idiots here. I mean, that's the funniest thing. Like, people tried to just discount George Bush as being an idiot. The man was, from one of the wealthiest families in the country. Impeccable upbringing, went to the best schools, but, man was not an idiot at all. He appealed to the common man is what he did. He played a role. And played it really well. So, I don't know, somebody chime in here. Anybody listening? Guess not. Nobody live. So hopefully this will rebroadcast and we can get a conversation going about, so, how much do we need to spend on the military? If the Pentagon is not only requiring an enormous budget that needs to grow all the time, even though we've got tons of weapons stockpiled, they always want the newest, best, faster, and I understand that to a point, right? But I was just watching a video with Ron Paul and he broadcasted it 3 days ago. So this is the 24th. He broadcasted that on the 21st of November, 2018. And Ron Paul was saying we could easily cut our military budget by 75% and still not risk anything in the way of defense or security. And I could not agree more. We spend 25 times more than the next 12 countries combined. And all those countries are our allies. So we don't have to worry about them. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, wow. Now, granted, we're thinking Russia and China, we're trying to make them into not being our allies, but they're our allies as long as they play nice. So it's just unbelievable. I mean, we have, 800 admitted military bases worldwide, which probably means more like 1,000 with clandestine and all that. And for what? So we can determine, Iraq, before we invaded Iraq, they had one of the best standards of living in the Middle East, and women there had more rights than anywhere else in the Middle East. We're going to college, we're becoming professors, holding good jobs. We bombed them back to the Stone Age, right? Same thing in Afghanistan, 17 years now, those poor people. Bombed for 30 years if you include the war against, Russia that we fomented, the Mujahideen against Russia. And not many people know the story about that. So the birthplace of Al-Qaeda, the origin of, enter Osama bin Laden, okay? We recruited Osama bin Laden, the CIA, as an extremist, as Islamic extremist. So we encouraged him to form and lead a group to fight against the Russians in Afghanistan. So we gave him a fuck ton of money. We, meaning the CIA, the US, money they either stole from us or got from dealing drugs, give a ton of money to Osama bin Laden to recruit Islamic extremists from all over the world. So we're always lied to and told these are like Saudi. No, they came from all over the world. That's why no country really wants them, because they're just crazy extremists from all over, gathered to form a covert army funded and weaponized by the CIA to fight a proxy war against the Russians in Afghanistan. Why? Because the country just north of Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, has the 4th largest natural gas reserve in the world. So we set up camp there. Now all of a sudden, Afghanistan takes over as the heroin producer of the world, while our oddly enough, now we find out there's a huge lithium and cobalt deposits in Afghanistan, which are used in cell phone batteries. So we're never leaving there. No way. And the original reason we set up shop there was so that the TIPI pipeline could go through. This is the Turkmenistan, India, Pakistan, something, TIPI. Look it up. So all the towns that you hear about our military doing battle in, these are towns that we basically had to clear an area for the pipeline. The Kandahar province is, we're having skirmishes and da-da-da-da. You look at them all, it just directly follows the route of the pipeline. We're clearing it out. Clearing the route, and they don't want the pipeline going through. They're not getting any benefit for it. It's Unical. It's 76. So now enter Iran. Even more bullshit. So a lot of people don't know that we overthrew Iran's government in 1953. They had a democratically elected government, super chill, pretty much like Iraq was before we effed it up. You know, women were going to college, becoming professors and the likes. Then we overthrew their government, took the leader out of the country. I forget exactly the details. Anyway, you can look it up. It's on my YouTube channel, or just you know, Google it, whatever. In 1953, we overthrew the government of Iran in a coup. The backlash of that is that they went super militant Islamic and they hate us. Well, imagine that. Imagine that. But that's the story we're never told. It's the backstory. We're just told they hate us. Oh, they hate us for our freedom. No, they hate us for taking their freedom. Jesus. Unfreaking believable. So now we're trying to manipulate the whole psyche of the U.S. to go to war against them again. Why? What have they done? You know, then there was the Iran-Iraq war, where we equipped both sides with weapons in the 80s. So we, you know, like kill off both sides and then we'll attack the winner kind of thing. Which I guess is exactly what we did, because Iraq won and then we attacked Iraq. Brutal. So, man. So the only reason we want to go into Iran is you know, for oil. They've got huge oil deposits. But why are we sending our people to die for corporate profits? It's not like we benefit. It's not like oh, your son died, you know, fighting for the military in Iraq, but you got $2 a gallon gas. No, you don't. No, $3.55 a gallon, or maybe $4 in the summer when they know you're going to need it more. It's unbelievable. But the corporations benefit, and still we send ourselves, our young, off to war to fight these wars that we find out time and time again, at least the last 7, current 7, are just wars for profit. You know, oh, they didn't, it was for U.S. interests. Well, what does that mean? What corporate interests? Nothing to do with our safety as U.S. citizens. No. As a matter of fact, all these wars have made us less safe, because every time a drone bombs an innocent family, they hate us. You know, and if one member survives from that family, they probably want to kill a U.S. citizen. Wouldn't be that off base, would it? And then here we are just like, oh, they hate us for our freedom. No, they hate us for our bombs falling from the sky, taking their freedom and the people that they love away from them. And it's time we woke up to this. Like, the government keeps wanting more and more and more money for the military. We spend 25 times what the next 12 countries do. 25 times. Ron Paul even said it. We can cut back by 75% and be totally cool. Imagine how much money we would have if we cut back by 75%. Oh, shit. Well, then you'd have to do Medicare for all and free college education. Heaven forbid. That gets me going on free college for all. Free college for all. I did the math. Okay, if you Google it yourself, the average college graduate makes like 75, something like that, high 70s. The average, like high 40s, 48, I think it was. Average high school graduate makes like 25, something like that. Anyway, Google the numbers yourself. I forget the exact numbers, but basically what it turned out to be is if you give somebody a college education by the time they get done working, because they're going to get a better job, and on average, this is the average, right? So a lot of people are doing better. And a lot of people could do better. It's the average. So average was basically you pay for somebody to have a free college education, and at a state college that could be, $100,000. By the end of their working career, just their taxes, they would have given back, just the increase, the difference in their taxes between a high school grad and them, $170-something thousand. So it more than pays for their college education. But we're not taught to look at it that way, right? We're not taught to think about investing in society and then waiting. We're told, oh, no, I should get a quarterly payback. Where's my dividend, right? Well, the dividend is society keeps doing better and better and better and better, right? But our system has been pillaged lately. I mean, we're how far in debt? When Bill Clinton took office, he eliminated the debt. First thing George Bush Jr. did was eliminate our surplus, which is bowing to the bankers, which goes to another video of mine talking about, the banksters and central banking. And really the best video on that is called Zeitgeist, the Addendum. And it's about our monetary system and, the central banks, the Federal Reserve, and ultimately the Rothschilds. So anyway, I feel like I'm ranting now a little bit. Then real people, have a good night. Peace out.